My heart almost stopped when I read the message from my wife's affair partner. The words were chilling. "Let's meet at your place this Thursday when your idiot isn't in town. Can't wait to make love to you on the back of your couch." I couldn't believe it. My brain was slow to process it, but my gut already knew the truth. I had just come home from a long day at work, dropped my bag, loosened my tie, poured myself a drink, and then I saw her phone on the kitchen counter. It was unlocked, which was unusual. Normally she was protective of it. I didn't make a habit of snooping, but I couldn't help myself. The screen was on with a new message from a name I didn't recognize. I told myself not to read it, but I did. The message was a punch to my gut, followed by photos, jokes, and plans, all at my expense. They called me Captain Boring, mocked me for being oblivious, and made plans to meet up that Thursday, the same day I was supposed to fly out for a client pitch. But she didn't know I had canceled that trip earlier that morning. She didn't know I was staying home. I had 72 hours to make this right, to tear down the lie that had been built over years. I didn't react with rage. I didn't throw the phone or call her. I just sat there, absorbing the betrayal, letting the full weight of it sink in. I walked to the sink, put my glass down, and loaded my Glock, not because I planned to hurt anyone, but because I had something else in mind. This wouldn't be some crime of passion. No, this would be calculated, surgical. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was emotional, but because I was planning. If they wanted my house, my life, my marriage, they would get all of it, but not in the way they expected. Step 1, logistics. She thought I was flying out Thursday. I told her I was leaving Wednesday night for a last-minute dinner with a client. She kissed me goodbye, not knowing that I had just canceled the flight. The next day, I rented a hotel suite under a different name, bought a hidden camera kit, and set up mics in every room, living room, kitchen, bedroom. I made sure every angle was covered. If she was going to turn our home into a stage, I was going to be the one running the show. I also replaced the couch cushions with identical ones, but these had mics and trackers hidden inside. That Wednesday night, I left the house like she expected. I packed a duffel bag, loaded up my car, and drove off, but I didn't go far. I parked around the corner, walked through the side alley, and entered through the basement door. The crawl space was tight, but it gave me access to the subfloor. There, I laid quietly, a blanket, a bottle of water, and a gun by my side, not to kill, just in case I needed to make a point. Thursday night at 6:48, I heard them. Laughter. Her voice, bright and familiar. And his, a smug, cocky tone that I instantly recognized from the videos I'd seen on her phone. The boyfriend was someone I knew, one of those work friends she had mentioned. I heard his belt drop, the sound of him making his move. I gripped the Glock, but stayed still, waiting. I wanted them to dig their own grave. I crawled up to the trapdoor, positioning myself behind the bookcase. They were too wrapped up in each other to hear me. I stepped into the hallway, watching from the shadows as she laughed, her legs wrapped around him, both of them too lost in the moment to notice me. Then I stepped forward and flicked the living room lights on. Clap, clap, clap. Bravo, I said, my voice icy. Incredible performance. They froze. The boyfriend scrambled to cover himself, and she screamed, her eyes wide with panic. What are you doing here? I didn't flinch. I reached for my gun and pulled it from my waistband. You mean at the house I pay for? The couch you turned into your little stage? The boyfriend raised his hands, trying to defuse the situation. Hey, man, let's not do anything crazy. I'm not crazy, I said, stepping closer. But you're not leaving this house until we've had a little chat. The room was dead silent, except for their heavy breathing. She had wrapped herself in a blanket while he sat on the edge of the couch, his face drained of color. The gun wasn't pointed at either of them, but its presence was enough. Okay, I said, my tone calm but firm. Here's what's going to happen. You, I nodded to him, are going to tell me everything. The scene unfolded with icy tension, each word punctuating the quiet between them. He swallowed, a slight tremor escaping him, and she whispered in a voice laced with fear, Please don't. I cut him before she could say more, my tone sharp. Oh no, sweetheart. You don't get to be shy now. Not after slipping your panties into his jacket pocket like some cheap movie plot. He blinked, then muttered barely above a whisper, 6 months. It started after your company's New Year's party. I nodded, letting the moment hang. And where else? I pressed, hotel on Ninth, once in your guest room. Her office twice, he answered, his words reluctant, as if the weight of them was too much. She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. I wasn't sure if it was shame or the dawning realization that she wasn't in control anymore. Keep going, I ordered, my voice emotionless. He glanced at her, but she refused to meet his eyes. She said you were cold, that you worked too much, that she felt invisible. And you thought the best way to solve that was to crawl into my bed while I paid for the roof over your head? I didn't plan it, he stammered, but I silenced him with a sharp command. Stop talking. You're not good at it. Then I pulled out a remote and pressed a button. The TV flickered to life, showing a split screen with 4 different angles. Living room, kitchen, bedroom, and hallway. Every sound, every angle was captured. She gasped, horrified. You filmed us? She asked, voice trembling. No, sweetheart. I replied coolly. I filmed you. You set the scene. I just made sure it had proper coverage. Her face drained of color. She lunged at me, panic-stricken. You can't, that's illegal. You can't use that against me. I smiled, a cold, calculating expression. Oh, sweetheart, I don't need to use it in court. I just need it to exist. And trust me, it exists in multiple places now. I shifted the gun resting on my lap, my voice calm and steady. Here's what's going to happen. I pointed at her. You'll sign the divorce papers that will be arriving tomorrow. No contest. No alimony. I keep the house. Then I pointed at him. You'll pay for damages. I've got a ruined sense of decency and a wrecked couch to deal with. You'll stay out of my life. No contact. No surprises. Because if either of you test me again, I didn't finish the sentence. I just looked at the gun, then back at them. They understood. She signed the papers the next morning, without a word. No arguments. No demands. She didn't dare. The boyfriend wired the money I demanded within 48 hours, including a little extra for humiliation. But it wasn't about the money. It was about truth, about exposure. I wasn't done yet. I didn't leak the footage publicly. That would have been reckless. But I did send still images to her boss with a polite note. Thought you should know how your HR director spends company time. 2 days later, she was fired. No official reason, just a quiet restructuring. Turns out he had a fiancée. Well, he had. I made sure she received a copy of the footage, along with screenshots of his text messages from the backup I pulled off her phone. They weren't pretty. The fallout was swift. They tried to stay together, I guess for the sake of trauma bonding. But once the money dried up and the shame caught up with them, it all fell apart. The last I heard, he was working nights at a bar. She moved in with her sister and hasn't updated her social media in months. The fake smiles disappeared. The curated life crumbled. As for me, I'm doing just fine. Better, even. Sold the house. Moved across the country. New job. New apartment. New city. No baggage. No lies. When I think back to that moment, her legs wrapped around someone else on my couch, I don't feel rage anymore. Just clarity. Some people deserve chaos, and I simply handed them the match. The noise took months to die down. At first, there were blocked numbers, private emails, vague social media posts, messages clearly aimed at me, trying to rewrite history. People change. Mistakes happen. No one's perfect, not even him. But I stayed silent. I didn't owe them forgiveness. I owed myself peace. And that's exactly what I got. One final encounter came a year later by chance at a grocery store in a different city. She looked older, not in years, but in the toll of time. Tired eyes, nervous hands. The shine that once protected her was gone. Hey, she said, voice low, cautious. You look good. I nodded. I know. She tried to smile, but didn't quite reach her eyes. I've changed. Things are different now. The words hung in the air, but I didn't care who she was now. I only cared who she'd been when it mattered. I hope you're well, I said flatly, but I don't miss you. That's when I walked away. The real revenge? It wasn't the footage, the money, the job loss, or the public humiliation. It wasn't about any of that. It was about knowing that for the rest of their lives, every couch they sit on, every glance they share, every quiet moment when they think they've moved on, they'll remember me, the man who smiled, walked away, and left them choking on the ashes of what they thought they'd burned.